All right, I gotta explain this next guest because normally we don't have a lot of authors on, and not because we don't like reading, but usually we're directed towards current events and politics and what's going on. But this is one of those stories that I'm dying to find the ending to, and it's not so much the book that he's written, but it's the story of the author. Doug Gardham is with us, and he is a buddy that I used to go to high school with. Describe Doug. Doug was a very, very smart kid in school, played sports, played basketball, played hockey, very well-rounded student. And then I remember him, this talking to friends and what have you. Doug had gone off to be an engineer. Doug was working for a company as an engineer and was very successful and having a great time, but he was dabbling in writing. Now I see a press release for a novel that he's written, and I find out that he is now solely a writer. So there's a story right there. Joining us is Doug Gardham. The book is called, by the way, The Actor, a novel by Douglas Gardham, and of course you can get it at all the usual outlets. Good afternoon, Doug. How you doing?
I am doing terrific, Scott.
So
I'm kind of pinching myself a little bit with so many things that are going on right now, but it's a very exciting time. And thanks very much for having me on.
It's great to talk to you. So again, last I remember keeping in touch, you were an engineer with a prominent company. How did you get into writing?
I've probably been writing, we go right back to our high school days when we had a band and we were writing our own music at that point in time, and it kind of caught the spirit. Then I went to school, of course, got a degree and started to go down that career path. And then I got kind of interested in short story writing and started to enter a few short story contests to no avail, but kind of kept doing that for a long time. And I'd always thought it would be a really kind of a cool way to make a living if you could actually put it together.
How do you find time to write when you've got another life? You got a family, you've got stuff going on, you've got a busy career. How did you find that as an outlet?
Well, the only way I could find to actually do it was getting up really early in the morning. So I'm a pretty early riser, and very often 4:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning you'd be up and you'd try and I kind of, in reading a lot of authors' biographies, a lot of it was around discipline and doing that. So I just started I tried to do 2 pages a day, and I would try and get up and do it. And if I didn't finish it in the morning, guess what I was doing at midnight?
Yeah. So what, now, I remember asking you one time why you did this, and were you dabbling in sci-fi at the beginning?
Well, originally I've always been a bit interested on the science fiction side, and but I found that I also like to tell a lot of other aspects of human nature, and that's really kind of what got me going on the actor as well, was just taking a look around me and finding, hey, people do different things with their lives. How could I capture that in the story?
So I remember asking you one time about why you did this, and you said your career was great, but it was very technical, and this was a creative outlet for you, correct?
Yeah, it's funny because as you go through your life, you find different things that really drive you, and I found even up until recently that I have to have an enormous creative outlet in my life. I found that while I can be disciplined and execute on a lot of different things as far as tasks go, if I'm not living that creation part, which comes about in so many different ways, I wasn't happy. I wasn't where I was supposed to be, and that's what literally writing gave me.
Were you happy being an engineer?
Oh yeah, I was going to say I thrived in the engineering world. I love doing that, and I think what was really interesting, and I think we try to do in engineering a lot, is bring the two things together, the arts and the sciences, so to speak. And having a crossroads of that is kind of cool. So that's why I was going to say writing has allowed me actually to have like that discipline of engineering and standards to put it into a book that actually is readable from the arts perspective.
So obviously engineering gives you that structure.
Yes, for sure. And I think I remember years ago reading about Robert Davies saying that being an author was like 5% inspiration and 95% discipline and hard work. And if I wrote only when I was inspired, I really wouldn't have too much to have to say I've accomplished.
It's like anything in life, really.
Pretty much.
So how do you make the decision to give that up and become a full-time writer?
Well, a combination of events in my life. Just a number of things happened with regards to the organization I was working with, and as well with my own life. And literally within a week, many things happened. The book came out and was published for the first time, and I was getting very strong feedback on it, which was great. And then it just looked like it was time. And like all great stories, they come to an end. And sometimes you don't anticipate that happening, but that's how we've been able to work it out. And I'm transitioning right now. I'm very much in the early stages of it, but I've written for years, literally in the morning, so that part hasn't been so strange. It's getting into the new world, like even coming on your show today, of getting out and trying to get a new book promoted and people excited about it.
How difficult a decision was this, especially to give up something that you had gone to school for, something that you had done for many years, and I'm sure a security blanket for you?
Well, I'll tell you kind of a moment that happened with my father a couple of years ago, and I had written a 25th anniversary poem for my wife, and he had read it, and he looked back at me and he said, "Why are you doing anything else with your life?"
Wow.
When you hear something like that from your father, who's structured and has really encouraged your career your whole life, you start looking at things.
I'm getting goosebumps. What was that moment like for you? Did you just look at him as if, what are you drinking, Dad? Like, really? You must have looked like him like a retriever with the ears going up.
It was definitely a moment, and one that, like I said, I kind of blame him now. I said, now that I'm on this path, it's your fault.
Yeah, really.
But no, it was. There's been so many things, I would say, in the last 6 months that have happened that have just been serendipitous, happenstance, that are just it's the right thing to be doing as far as I can see.
So no looking back at this point.
None at all. I was going to say we're well into the next book, and it's really exciting for sure.
Now, is it different because you're doing this for a living? Is there pressure to do it? I mean, this was something you did at your leisure, even though you were structured and would do it early in the morning. Now it's your job, theoretically.
Yes. I'm going to find out. Is really the best way I can say it right now. Is having done this for years, you kind of know the territory, but I'm not from the writing environment. I don't know that world. I don't know the publishing world. I'm read a lot about it, but a lot of it's very new to me, and for me, it's very exciting. So everything I can do to kind of go in that direction is where it's at, and where it leads me takes me on my next journey.
How long did you give up the engineering job? When did that end for you?
It's only been the last, I'll say, month and a half.
So you're still in the honeymoon stage?
Oh, I'm very much in the honeymoon stage.
Now, what about your family, and what about your wife? What did they think of all of this?
I am very fortunate, Scott, because you know my wife.
I do.
And I actually married my best friend.
Yeah.
And when you come home and you say how this whole thing kind of started or got reignited was taking our daughter out west to go to school, and I'd seen this ad to publish, and I said, there's going to be an investment in it, and I want to make sure we're comfortable with it. And she said, you've dreamed of doing this your whole life. Why wouldn't you do it? So when you get that kind of support from your wife and best friend, and of course the kids are super excited about it, you know something's going on.